And this is Mississippi Happening. We are here at Voodoo Fest. We are an arts and culture podcast that seeks to connect the creative economy narrative in Mississippi to the broader narrative. And we're lucky to be here with Miss Marcia Ball, a piano player who some have described your stuff as simmering Texas blues and a Louisiana swamp rock with the Louisiana piano. And yeah, you know, I was like, I'm gonna go with that. You know what that guy said. And gosh, you know, you have a Grammy-nominated album, Roadside Attractions, out right now, and you are part of the Louisiana Music Hall of Fame. And one thing in particular that connects you to Mississippi, you have won the Pinetop Perkins Piano Player of the Year 5 out of the last 8 years from the Blues Awards.
Yes.
And so I was wondering, you know, you've been around doing your music for a long time right here in Louisiana and in Texas, and I'm sure throughout the South and the nation. And you know, I'm wondering the ways that you've come into contact with Mississippi over the years, and how maybe Mississippi culture has affected you.
Well, you know, I noticed when we crossed into Mississippi yesterday at the state line, the sign now says the birthplace of America's music, which I think is very cool. And I think the whole blues trail, which I feel like it began in Mississippi, the whole idea probably is part of the Blues Foundation, and extends all the way up to Rockland, Maine, where there's a great blues festival that we play every year. So that sort of thing is it's just everywhere. Mississippi music is all-encompassing. Everywhere that there is blues, it's Mississippi blues. It may have been transformed into Chicago blues, West Coast swing, Kansas City blues or swing or whatever, but the guts of it, the beginning of it, was in the Delta.
Yeah, so it all really harkens back. You know, it's the blues trail. It's great to hear you bring that up, because, you know, as a state, the Mississippi Arts Commission has really pushed this idea of the creative economy and the arts and culture as being a driver for economic progress in Mississippi. And I'm wondering, you know, what you think about that push, and I guess your thoughts on how effective that could be, or how it can be done more effectively.
Well, if people are not giving full credit to the idea of a creative economy, then they're not paying attention to what an event like this one, where we are today, brings to a community. What in Austin, the two big festivals that happen annually, beyond the other weekly or monthly festivals that we have, but the big Austin City Limits Festival and the big South by Southwest, bring millions and millions of dollars into the economy. Recording brings money in. Music is it's essential to life. There's very little time in your life that you go without being in earshot of music. You can intentionally do it, or you can absorb it, or it's just out there. But music is what people use to get up in the morning. They exercise to it. They eat with music on. Everybody lives on music. It makes life better.
You talked about Austin, and you know, while Pinetop Perkins was from Belzoni, Mississippi, I believe he moved to Austin, and y'all had an opportunity to collaborate pretty often. Did he live close, and he came to regular gigs of yours, or?
Yeah, he did actually. We did live close to one another. He lived in the same neighborhood as I did for quite a while when he was in town, and he would hang out at Antone's, the blues club, and Clifford Antone is who talked him into coming to Austin, invited him there, and kind of set up a system of support for him that helped to keep him going. His manager, Pat, also was part of that group of people, and our friend Denise looked after him. So there were a lot of people looking after Pinetop, but Clifford was the one who would pick him up and drive him around, and they would go to this club or that club. They'd go to the Broken Spoke. I mean, it was funny how the oldest country bar in town, longest lived country bar with the same cowboy owner and Clifford and Pinetop got to be close friends, and they would hang out there. And Clifford would go to just about anybody's gig and carry his CDs with him. I mean, Pinetop would carry his CDs with him and set them up on a table. So you could go and visit with Pinetop and maybe, you know, get an autograph, pick up a CD, and it might not be his gig, but he was there at Antone's almost every time we played, as long as he was in town.
You know, it seems like there's a lot of travel and musicians migrating from one southern city to another. I know we have Jackson musicians that go out to Austin a lot, and then they'll come back and bring people with them, and I know that same thing happens with New Orleans. And I'm just kind of wondering what you've seen as far as cultural exchange and how all that overlap among musicians and that community kind of helps in the artistic process, maybe.
Well, we still have Omar. We kept Omar of Omar and the Howlers. He's still in Austin, and we had Susie and Buzz Elkins for a while from a great band called the Drapes, and we just had all these people that have come over, and you're right, added to what we had, Fingers Taylor and people like that, not to mention the blues guys. And we stopped in Macomb on the way here. We drove in from Jackson to New Orleans today, and we stopped in Macomb, and everybody started naming, you know, home of Bo Diddley, and, you know, everybody started naming people from Macomb. So we cross paths. They've come to Austin, and we see people in New Orleans and out all over the world, actually, Mississippi players. They also, I'll tell you what, go to Nashville and become great songwriters. You know, and there's a lot of connection there. One of the more recent guys who's out really making waves is Paul Thorne from up around Tupelo, and you know, he's really tearing it up.
Right on. We'll have to look into him. You know, another thing that I like to talk about with Mississippi Happening, because, you know, when we start to talk about the creative economy, we talk about nonprofits and businesses and how everyone's rolled into that. And a lot of artists in Mississippi, I find, trying to raise awareness to issues with their art. And I know that you've worked in relationship to the BP oil disaster, raising funds for Katrina. You used your birthday for the Health Alliance in Austin. And I just wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about kind of the significance to you of making sure that's part of your artistic practice.
Well, it's definitely a part of my life and a part of my artistic life, and I do not believe that it's possible to simultaneously shut up and sing. So I continue to say what I think and sing, and my most broad-reaching social media is Facebook and my band page. I've got a personal page, it's very small, everybody's in there, it's like family, but my band page, you don't know who's going to go looking at that. And for a long time, and for the most part, I don't use it as a political platform. But it's an election year. It's really, really important right now. The next week is really important in what's going to happen in this country. And I believe that Barack Obama has been a good president. And I believe that he is going to be a better president for the next 4 years, especially if we can keep a little bit of control of Congress. So I think we need him. And I think the other guy will be a disaster, and we'll go back to what we had for 8 years with that unfortunate Texan George Bush. So I'm not in any way shy about saying what I feel about politics, and you know, I believe in women's rights, I believe in emphasizing education, I'm pro-choice. If nobody likes it or somebody doesn't like it and that affects their ability to listen to my music, I think it's our job. You know, it was Woody Guthrie's job, it was Bob Dylan's job, it was Muddy Waters' job, it was R.L. Burnside's job to talk about issues, to talk about what's going on and what's wrong and sing about it. It was Bessie Smith's job to sing the blues about issues, and that's what we do.
That's a really solid statement, and I appreciate you using where you are to be a platform to speak and empower yourself and people in general, you know, through sharing ideas, you know, and being a part of a larger conversation.
I truly don't know if it's possible to change anybody's mind. I mean, I think a lot of these debates and everything, it was like watching a football game, you know. Nobody who watches the game is going to change teams just because the other guy won or had a better game. But I hope that a little bit of reason sinks in. and I just keep pounding on it.
No doubt. Thanks so much for joining us today. It was great to talk to you.
This is a really important conversation. It's a real important issue. Here's another thing you were asking about people helping, or all the things that musicians can do. You will find time and again that whenever someone is in need, whenever there's a sickness or a problem or a disaster, that the first people to respond are musicians and artists. You will find silent auctions full of art and jewelry that people are making, donating. You will find events where all the musicians have donated their time. Maybe nobody else did. Maybe the sound guy's getting paid and the club's getting paid, and you don't often see a dentist offering anything up to raise money like this. But musicians step up to the plate and help one another and help other people too.
It's true. It's true. And sometimes, I mean, I guess it's like that everywhere. Like, I think sometimes I want to think it's a Southern thing,
No,
but
it's everywhere. It's everywhere. Coco Taylor, another great Mississippian, has a great foundation that helps people in Chicago that she started, and they have an annual event, and basically it's to help people with funeral expenses and end-of-life issues.
Well, it was fabulous to meet you, and I'm looking forward to your performance today here at Voodoo Fest. And you got your album out, Roadside Attractions, and definitely should check that out online. And I assume you have a website?
MarciaBall.com, MarciaBall.com.
BALL.com. Check it out.